episode 30. Hello everyone and welcome to Sunburned. Albino plays the Ace Attorney Trilogy PS4 episode 30. Dude, 30 episodes, we still ain't done with the first game. My goodness. Of course, this is the DLC, so I guess technically we already were done, but that's fine. Also, I just got my blood drawn in like 2 different places today because my veins are hella tiny and they had to do it a bunch of times in a row. So if I faint in the middle of the episode, just know that's why. And not because I'm a weak little bitch, alright? There's no stopping you, is there, Mr. Wright? Huh? What do you mean? You called for Jake Marshall. It seems you've figured everything out. I haven't figured anything out. Lana, you're the one who knows everything. Emma, you always know everything. Why don't you just tell us? Mr. Wright is trying his hardest to protect you. I don't recall ever asking for his protection. How can you be so cold? Don't you trust us? Don't you trust me? Hope I'm not interrupting anything, pals. Oh, guess I am. I'll come back later. Wait, Detective Gumshoe, what is it? You've got a lot of nerve, pal, making a detective run all around while on duty. And to top it off, you call me here. I've seen happier people at funerals. Sorry, detective. You better be, pal. Hey! I didn't see you there, Chief Prosecutor Sky. That's okay. So, have you brought what I asked? Oh. You mean this, right? My apologies, Detective. Due to my present circumstances, I was forced to use Mr. Wright's name when making my request. My name? Never in a million years would I have thought it was you who asked me. Could I bother you to bring me the SL9 incident files? I'll need them by noon. Talk about crazy. The SL9 incident? But Lana, that's... I thought Mr. Wright might need them, so I had them brought here. Here, you might do well to read them. I can't believe you, the chief prosecutor, were a witness in that case. Miss Sky was a witness? The Joe Dark killings. Oh, yo. Take it from me, you don't want anything to do with serial murders. Oh, what? Now that I brought you your stuff, you're just gonna ignore me? Emma? But why? Why is your name in here? What? My name's in there? I don't know. Unless... No, it couldn't be. Lana, this SL9 incident, is that... That's the classification number the police filed it under. 2 years ago, the rest of the world knew it as... the Joe Dark killings. The... Joe Dark... No, Lana! That's over with! No! Emma, wait! She ran away. You know what? I just remembered I gotta be somewhere. Sorry, pal, but I'm outta here. Jake Marshall, Angel Starr, Damon Gant, Miles Edgeworth. Not to mention Lana and Emma. Everyone involved in this case is connected to those killings 2 years ago. This can't be just a coincidence. Knowing you, you just might be able to figure it out. Time to get back to the trial, Mr. Wright. Best of luck. I'd better take a good look at this file. Yeah, you better. I want to see. I want to see all that. Oh, looks like I should have ended the episode 4 minutes later last time. I always do that. I got no sense of when things are gonna be done. Whatever. Let's keep it going. We're already finally getting into some stuff, even though apparently we're still not even close to being done at all. Huh. Joe Dark killing sounds hella cool, though. The court will now reconvene for the trial of Miss Lana Sky. Emma didn't come back. Allow me to call the next witness to the stand, the officer in charge of guarding the evidence room on the day of the crime. Witness, please state your name and occupation. Me, partner. Oh, I'm just a man, same as you, wandering the trails of civilization. Occasionally helping the elderly cross intersections when needed. Yes, we get it. Oh, I know, you're a patrolman. As for my name, if you listen hard enough, you can hear the howling wind calling it out. To be exact, it's Jake Marshall, Your Honor. Howling wind? I've never heard Edgeworth described that way before. Now... oh, I get it. Now, Mr. Marshall, let me ask you something. You were in charge of guarding the evidence room on the day the crime took place. Is this correct? According to the papers, partner. What do you mean? A desperado's soul is as boundless as the desert sands. No paper can sum it up. Maybe it's best we get on with this quickly. Please share with us your testimony of the day of the crime, in plain old English. My job was to keep a wary eye on that bone orchard. They said I was supposed to make rounds 3 times a day, but that ain't my style. Besides, the room's protected by 2 security systems anyway. If I remember right, I was at a street-side saloon at the time it went down. I'm just an innocent traveling man, so if you're out of ammo, it's time I hit the trail. I can't say I particularly care for your attitude. I can't say I care for your beard, but you don't see me complaining. Wait a minute. What do you mean by 2 security systems? I mean I don't know what that was. I mean the security cameras and the ID card reader? I reckon even a cowpoke like you knows about those. Yes, well, what about the fingerprint-activated locks on the evidence lockers? Fingerprint-activated locks? What kind of newfangled doohickeys are those? He's not being very helpful. He's not that good with machines, or with following orders. Everyone's got their weaknesses now, don't they, Mr. Prosecutor? This one seems like trouble. Okay, Mr. Wright, he's all yours. Alright, well, we gotta press him. It seemed like there were 3 instances on that bono. Yeah, press. Would you please, you say that in something? How exactly did you keep an eye on the evidence room? I just made sure nothing moved in the security camera monitor. That room is so still, even time dies in there. I was just a caretaker who interred the recordings. You interred them? Interred them? Whatever. Videos of nothing aren't that useful. When the time would come, I'd erase the tape. If nothing unusual is recorded, tapes are to be erased every 6 hours. Each time I'd erase a tape, it felt like I was erasing a part of my life. This guy has a flair for the dramatic, but it isn't going to do him any good. So in actuality, you don't physically enter the evidence room. They said I was supposed to make rounds 3 times a day, but that ain't my style. But you made your rounds on the day of the crime, right? Ain't you heard a word I said, partner? I told you that ain't my style. I'm afraid I don't understand. No desperado I know lets rules get in his way. No desperados I know join the police force. So, Officer Marshall, on the day of the crime? Just between you and me, I didn't set foot in the evidence room that day. There was a rubber glove stuck in the victim's locker. Do you know anything about that? Sorry, partner, can't say I do. I haven't been in that crypt in weeks. How does this guy avoid being fired? Besides, the room's protected by 2 security systems anyway. You used to be a detective, so you've used the evidence room in the past, correct? Of course. Back in the day, my locker was a goldmine of evidence. And yet, you didn't know about the fingerprint locking mechanism? Sorry, partner, I ain't good with machines. I couldn't even tell you how a bike works. That's quite incredible. The sensors on the locker handles cannot be seen. It's well known that some detectives are unaware of their presence. Now that he mentions it, Detective Gumshoe said something like that too. At any rate, it doesn't seem that this is relevant to the crime. Can you tell us what you were doing when the crime took place? If I remember right, I was at a street-side saloon at the time it went down. What the hell does that mean? You mean a bar? What were you doing in a place like that? I was eating spaghetti. Not even Angel's steak lunches can beat that parlor's Vongol sepia pasta. Do you mean to tell us you abandoned your police duties to eat some noodles? Not all desperados eat tacos, partner. That's not what I meant. I hope this has at least taught you a lesson. That's strange. This is usually where Edgeworth says, "Did you not want a raise this year?" I'm just an innocent traveling man, so if you're out of ammo, it's time I hit the trail. Out of ammo, Officer Marshall? That's right, partner. Or as you'd call it, evidence. If you plan to pin me to this crime, then you'd better draw. Otherwise, you're just wasting my time. My steel horse is waiting to carry me back west into the sunset. One thing seems clear. Despite being responsible for guarding the evidence room, the witness doesn't appear to have seen anything. Texans don't take orders from anyone. Everyone knows that. Apparently your superiors don't. Okay, I have a trump card up my sleeve, so I best keep my cool. Before I use it, though, I better up the ante. Let's see, job, yeah, okay. They said I was supposed to make rounds 3 times a day, but that ain't my style. Okay. Besides, the room's protected by 2 security systems anyway. The fingerprint lock, and... He's saying he didn't know about the fingerprint lock, though. Like, he was saying he did not know, but he said 2 security systems like he knew. So, can we do... this? Okay, fine. Like, yes, what he said was true, but it's contradicting himself. 2 security systems, anyway. If I remember right, I was at a street-side saloon at the time I went down. Well, that's false, but we can't really prove that it's false. Like, we can't prove it was him. Or can we? Set it up the ante, like we have today. You have the evidence room floor plan, scene of the stabbing. Good one's lost item report, screwdriver, fingerprinting set. Oh, the ID card record. No, because it still says Bruce Goodman. And we don't have his thing on here. There's still this unaccounted for number. So that doesn't prove it either, then. Unstable jar, who knows? Marshall's fingerprints. But are we supposed to... Oh yeah, I gotta look over this. We never looked at this. Alright, perpetrator Joe Dark, crime serial murder, sentence death. Victims, Edward Jones, Jason Knight, Edith Kirby, Rachel Moss, Jeb Bates, Neil Marshall. Neil Marshall! Head prosecutor Miles Edgeworth, witnesses Lana Skye, Emma Skye. Investigation Task Force executive investigators were Damon Gant and Lana Skye, head investigator Bruce Goodman, investigators Jake Marshall, Angel Starr. I see. So this Joe Dark character seems to have murdered somebody's brother or dad or son. But we can't use that yet, obviously. Can we just present the fingerprints here? Okay, we can. I didn't know if this was specifically, like, the right place for it, but I guess too. Officer Marshall, doesn't it strike you as odd? That is, you being called in to testify like this? After all, you weren't in the security room at the time of the crime. And yet you dragged me down here. Explain yourself, partner. It's quite simple. You left a very large trail behind at the scene. Or to be exact, a handprint. Listen real good, partner. Like I said, I'm the caretaker of that crypt. I pay my respects, that is, make my rounds about once a month. It's only natural my fingerprints would be in there. I only wish it were, officer. But you see, your fingerprints were covered in blood. Witness, what's the meaning of this? Your blood-stained fingerprints were at the crime scene? The blood was wiped away. However, A luminol test clearly revealed this. Well, Officer Marshall? It seems to me there ain't a person in this room with a head on his shoulders. I take it you have an explanation then, Officer Marshall, about the blood-stained fingerprints. Very well, you may begin your testimony about your fingerprints found at the scene of the crime. Like I said, it's only natural for my fingerprints to be in that evidence room. One of them just happened to be at the same place as the blood-stained handprint. The murderer touched the locker where my fingerprint was by chance. The bloodstain and the fingerprint are completely unrelated. Or didn't you know the murderer was wearing gloves? See, I had nothing to do with it. The witness's explanation appears valid, although there's room for doubt. Life wouldn't be fun without any doubt, partner. The defense may now cross-examine the witness. This guy's hiding something, I can feel it. Now's my chance to prove it. Alright, so the problem with this dude's stuff... One of them just happened to be the same place as the bloodstained handprint. The murderer touched the locker where my fingerprint was by chance. This is obviously all nonsense, but... Bloodstain and the fingerprint are completely unrelated, that's false. Or didn't you know the murderer was wearing gloves? This is the thing that sticks out to me. Because how do you know the murderer was wearing gloves, huh? Did you investigate the crime, huh? Did you investigate the crime? Extremely thin rubber glove. Didn't you know the murderer was wearing gloves? But the dude in the video was not wearing gloves. Or they think that Meekins did it, don't they? So, no, the murderer was not wearing gloves, and there's like several instances where that is the case. So, for one, we could check this crime photo. Oh, she is wearing gloves in there, damn, never mind. But, we could do with the security video, if that's what because we're talking about the evidence room right now. If we show the evidence video, and be like, hey, the person who went in there was not wearing gloves. Then would that work? Okay, fine. It won't work. So what would then? I mean, it's true that the murderer was wearing gloves. Because these bloody fingerprints didn't actually reveal any fingerprints. Because they were wearing gloves. Right? That's what I thought. Just wanted to check. Your Honor, I'm about to make a complete fool of myself. I'm going to have to penalize you. That word's still so funny. But only when it's pronounced like that. I'm going to have to penalize you. There's nothing funny about that. I'm going to have to penalize you. It's fantastic. Alright. Murderer was wearing gloves. Evidence locker. Only the assigned detective's prints can unlock it, so the murderer can't have worn gloves. Fine. Alright. Bam, bam, bam. I mean, they're specifically talking about evidence like I don't have to press them for anything, so... Bam, 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 bam. What else is there? Evidence room floor plans wouldn't matter. Goodman's lost item report wouldn't matter. Screwdriver wouldn't matter. Fingerprinting set. Wouldn't matter. Huh, okie dokie then. I'm just gonna go all the way around and start pressing stuff. Can't let him squirm out of this one, gotta find something decisive. That's because you, how did you put it, pay your respects once a month? Yeah, that's right. That and one more thing. That locker happens to be mine. What? What do you mean? I mean what I said. That's the locker I used when I was a detective, the locker I still use. All that's in there now, though, is a heap of broken dreams. I see. It'd be strange if my prints weren't all over that locker. Apparently his fingerprint data was never removed from that locker's programming. He must have been using the fingerprint lock all this time without ever knowing it. Okay, well we updated that, that's nice. One of them just happened to be at the same place as the bloodstained handprint. So then, what about the bloody handprint? It wasn't mine, it's no mystery. Please explain. My locker is covered with my fingerprints. It just so happened. Murderer touched the locker where my fingerprint was by chance. The chances of that happening are 1,000,000 to 1. On the contrary, one could argue just the opposite. The chances of that not happening are 1,000,000 to 1. Get one thing straight, partner. You ain't gonna get no reward from me with a mere fingerprint. You wanna know why? The bloodstain and the fingerprint are completely unrelated. Unrelated? They're as different as night and day. Kinda like cereal and cereal. One's got to do with breakfast while the other's a type of murder. He's right. Although seemingly alike, they're totally different. I don't see what homonyms have to do with this. Or didn't you know the murderer was wearing gloves? How do you know that? I may be a loner, but I still do my job. I keep up on the reports. There was a bloodstain at the scene, thought to be left by the murderer. That's right. It was found on Detective Gumshoe's locker. However, no fingerprints were detected on that handprint. Oh yeah, I think we tried that too. So that would mean the murderer, wearing gloves, happened to place their hand on top of Officer Marshall's fingerprint. That's the only logical conclusion. Are you starting to get the picture, partner? The picture? This seal of blood. In the desert, it's just food for the buzzards. There's only one reality, and that's this. The security tape. So long as my trail isn't in there, you can't say otherwise. This isn't getting us anywhere, Mr. Wright. Please consider carefully where you're going with this cross-examination. Yes, Your Honor. Now then, continue your testimony, Officer Marshall. Yes, please repeat yourself again. Too bad it wasn't me in that video, right, partner? Oh, here we go. What if I present the video as evidence? Let's press first. What do you mean by that? You want to tie me to this crime, isn't that right, partner? If so, that video is the only direct evidence you have. But that video is next to useless. It's full of blind spots. Blind spots? Places you can't see. The camera's panning back and forth. The floor isn't shown. If someone was familiar with the camera's position, they could leave the room without being caught on tape. We don't have time for your speculations, Mr. Wright. Well, Mr. Wright, if you can show us evidence in this video that indicates Officer Marshall was present, please do so now. Okay. There's just one issue here. They're saying that this handprint is Marshall's own locker. I thought that was Gumshoe's locker, because Gumshoe's locker had blood on it as well. So the one on the left is Gumshoe's locker. I don't recall seeing blood on that one. At least not... it wasn't a handprint then. Ugh. Tread carefully, Mr. Wright, or you might wind up being the one making the mistake. Now then, let's have another look at the video. Show us the incriminating evidence. Here we go. So this is Marshall's locker right here, then. The dude, the thing's head is in the way. Are you wearing gloves? It seems, yeah, it seems like it. And there's Gumshoe's locker. The glove falls out, you go in. This locker's already open. This is Bruce Goodman's locker. We have established that at least. The fact that the locker was already open, wouldn't that be it? If it was indeed Bruce Goodman, why would he need to unlock his own locker? I think... There! How's that for evidence? Please allow me to apologize for my colleague, Your Honor. He gets carried away sometimes. Just a... Dude. What? Oh god, load. So annoying. Places you can't see. Yes, indeed. I will show that evidence, and you can't stop me. I really would love to know how it's not the fact that he had to break into his own locker. Okay, fast forward. Fast forward, fast forward. I'm gonna try the glove now. It's right there, sir. What is the problem? How is that not it? Or is this Officer Marshall's locker? Like, I'm so confused by which locker is whose now. Well, I'm gonna try the shirt thing here now. Bam! Yes, here we go. Bringing our attention back to the security camera is a mistake I'm afraid you'll soon not forget, Officer Marshall. The days are short in Texas, and so are our tempers. Could you sum up what you have to say in 8 words or less? Very well. You can clearly be seen in this video. Oh, that's 8 words. Exactly 8 words. Not bad, partner. The key lies in a certain locker shown in the video. See, that was I thought they stuffed the code into Detective Gumshoe's locker, because I thought that was his. That locker with the white cloth sticking out, that was the witness's, I believe. Now then, let's rewind the video a bit. Oh, the white cloth. It's gone. What's the meaning of this, Officer Marshall? When the crime took place, the white cloth wasn't there. Then it suddenly appeared. There's only one explanation. Officer Marshall, you were in the evidence room at the time of the crime. What's more, you opened your locker when the camera was turned away. Order, order. It would seem that's the only— Hold your horses. Sorry, partner, but you got the wrong man. So what if my locker was opened? That doesn't mean I'm the one who opened it. The murderer needed to hide something, so he opened a locker and stuck it in. It's not my fault he happened to choose mine. Why is everyone staring at me like I'm a wanted man? This guy isn't just playing dumb. He really doesn't know. I hate to rain on your parade, but you're the only person who can open that particular locker. Oh yeah? I call your bluff. You say I opened that locker. Now prove it. Okay. Only the assigned detective's prints can unlock it, sir. Fingerprint sensor? We talked about this earlier today. The lockers can only be opened by the detectives they belong to. What kind of crazy talk is this? Well, Detective Gumshoe did mention something about this. In any case, the locks aren't that obvious. There are even some people on the force that don't know about the fingerprint locks. So, Sheriff, what do you have to say in 8 words or less? I only got 1 word for you, partner. No! Okay. Order, 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 order. Witness, explain yourself. If this is a joke, it's the worst I've ever heard. I assure you this is no joke, Officer Marshall. Now then, please tell us what you were doing in the evidence room at the time of the crime. What are you chewing on? Is that like an onion? Olay, please answer the quiz. Are you fucking kidding me? Imagine if the witness was like Japanese and then the judge was just like, Konnichiwa, please answer the question. What is he now, a bullfighter? That's all right, Officer Marshall. I believe we can figure the rest out from here. We can? Have a look at these 4 plans. 4 plans? That was me. They didn't typo. I mean, they do a lot of typos, but it wasn't a typo. Or they don't do a lot of typos. That's Zero Escape that does a lot of typos. This game does a couple typos. Typos? There is no place for someone to hide in the evidence room. Yet Officer Meekins didn't see Officer Marshall. If that's so, then where was the witness? It seems Mr. Wright has an answer. That's right. The only possible conclusion. Well then, let's hear it. Where was Officer Marshall at the time of the crime? Oh, this stands for victim and killer. Why, he was right there, sir. Office Marshall? Office Max was standing right here. Staples, the easy button. So Officer Meekins didn't notice him standing there. That's almost as credible as Meekins' warp theory. Your chamber's empty, partner. Better What?! He wasn't Bruce Goodman? Now they're ganging up on me. Perhaps you should think a little more about where Officer Marshall was. Officer Meekins should have seen him in the evidence room. That means the only place he could have been would be... Shit. Okay, well that was a freebie. You guys can knock one thing off my influence gauge. Where was Officer Marshall at the time of the crime? What, like over... like here? Or could it have been, like, in this corner? Either this corner or this one. It's like the camera doesn't see the floor, so like it could have belly crawled over there. But then there would have been like blood or I would assume that he was like over in this general area. So Officer Meekins didn't notice him standing there. That's almost as credible as wow. Oh. Well, my theory's already out the window. I thought that he was dressed up as Bruce Goodman. Wait. Did I get these flipped? I already view Meekins as the victim. That's why, because he was the one who was laying over. Okay. Officer Marshall was oh, they spelled it right, so that's how you know it's right. There, but that's where the victim, Detective Goodman, was. Correct, unless the man wasn't Detective Goodman. I believe the victim in the video is Officer Marshall. It was you dressed up like Detective Goodman. But that's preposterous. Officer Meekins witnessed the detective at the crime scene. Once he saw the man's face, he'd know for sure. May I point out, though, that Officer Meekins did not know Detective Goodman. He also testified about the man's reaction when confronted. When I entered the evidence room, I asked him to show his cards, sir. Yes, and how did Detective Goodman respond? He suddenly pulled a knife on me. Something about the officer's story puzzled me. If the man had his ID card, why didn't he just show it? Yes, he would have needed it to enter the evidence room, so he must have been carrying it. The answer is simple. He couldn't show it. As you can see, Detective Goodman's picture is on his ID card. Oh, I get it. If he showed that, his cover would have been blown. Officer Meekins would have realized the man wasn't Detective Goodman. Do you have anything to say to this, Officer Marshall? No, I just have to chew on my... whatever this is. My peanut brittle. My testicle-shaped peanut brittle. It is so tough, I cannot actually bite a piece off. Oh my goodness, this is difficult. Oh, just give me 5 more minutes to try. You've got quite an imagination, partner. We got a term for that. It's called circumstantial evidence. Circumstantial evidence? He's still denying it. You're gonna have to do better than that to break a detective. Unless you have hard evidence proving I dressed up as the victim. I can't say I particularly care for your uncooperative disposition. I can't say I care for your beard, but you don't see me complaining. He just says that again. Well, Mr. Wright, do you have any evidence proving beyond a shadow of a doubt that Officer Marshall dressed up as the victim? Well, who am I kidding? I don't have anything like that. I can see the fear in your eyes, partner. Seems you're the one who couldn't take the desert heat. Ack! This can't be happening! It's so obvious he's the one! What can I do? It looks like your lack of experience has finally been exposed. Huh? I'll pass on to you what someone told me when I was just starting out. When you've run into a wall with no place to go, return to the basics. The basics? For me, that would be what Mia used to tell me. Phoenix, try thinking outside the box. I shouldn't look for proof that Officer Marshall was in disguise. But rather I should look for evidence that came about because he was in disguise. Why do you think this locker was opened in the first place? What do you mean? There's no reason for Officer Marshall to open his locker at the time of the crime. Yet he did, despite the chance it might be discovered later as it has been. Which means he didn't originally plan to open his locker. According to the defense's argument, Officer Jake Marshall dressed up as Detective Goodman at the time of the crime. Then, after the crime was committed, he opened his own locker for some unknown reason. The fact that a white cloth is sticking out of the locker seems to indicate that he opened it in order to put the cloth inside. So, just what exactly is this piece of cloth? Perhaps the video is the key to all our unanswered questions. I don't have any evidence, so this video is my only shot. Very well, let's take yet another look at the security tape. After committing the crime, the witness opened the locker to put away the white cloth. Well, the cloth would be his, jacket. It would be his disguise. Please show us why the witness has to open his locker. Oh, I'll do it. Because it's his freaking coat, man. Well, what do you have to say to that? All right, partner. You really want to know the reason I had to open my locker? Why? So I could stuff you in there. Huh? I'm sure the world would be a better place with you sent off to the boneyard. Unfortunately, unsolved cases can't be stored in the evidence room. Now I'm an unsolved case. What? It's his coat! Oh, God. Aha! Bam! For some reason, you disguised yourself as Detective Goodman and entered the evidence room, though I don't know to what end, yet. Yet? However, something unexpected happened. Officer Meekins barged in on you. When asked to show your ID card, you pulled a knife on him. However, Officer Meekins panicked. Dude, how did you get blood on your shoulder by slashing at him? Was that when was his hand bleeding at that time? I can't tell, really. And the white coat you were wearing was soiled with blood that just appeared out of thin air. A bloody white coat. You couldn't just walk out like that, so you hid the coat in your locker. Not bad, partner. Oh, wow. Oh, is he getting him? Oh, he kind of agreed with it. I don't know what to think about this. Oh, no, pass the popcorn. Now then, Officer Marshall. Are you ready to tell us the truth? Looks like I underestimated y'all. I hope you're happy now, Mr. Edgeworth. 2 years ago, if you were only half as persistent then as you are today, we all wouldn't have to be here now would we? Officer Marshall, tell the court what you did. All of it. All right. It seems the time has come. I had to do it that day. I couldn't just stand by and let it die. I stole the detective's ID and dressed like him. I planned to take out the evidence. I wasn't expecting Officer Meekins. I knocked him out and managed to escape. I knew which areas wouldn't be caught on the camera. There wasn't any murder in the evidence room at 5:15. So the supposed victim was really you. But there's one thing I still don't understand. Traces of a large quantity of blood were found on the floor of the evidence room. If no one was murdered, then how could that be? Officer Meekins managed to cut his own hand. My guess is he's the donor. It was way too much blood for such a small donation. Well, now I'm completely at a loss. Just stand by and let it die. Let what die, sir? When you say it, you mean... Do you even have to ask, partner? The SL9 incident. 2 years have passed since that case was closed. It was going to completely end with the transferal that day. Not if I have anything to do with it. That incident's not over. But what did you hope to accomplish by sneaking into the evidence room? When a case is closed, only that case's lead detective can look through the evidence. I wanted to have a look at it myself one more time, no matter what the cost. I don't care what anyone says, partner. That case is mine.
But Officer Marshall wasn't in charge of that investigation. Why does he care so much about it?
That day was my last chance. That's why I stole the detective's ID and dressed like him. I planned to take out the evidence.
Why did you disguise yourself as Detective Goodman?
If I didn't make it look like Goodman was carrying out the evidence transfer, I'd be arrested for stealing evidence, which wouldn't let me anywhere.
So you did it to fool the security camera.
And the detective's ID card? I stole that the morning of the incident.
So that really was why Goodman started filling out that lost item report.
I returned his ID card. I left it on the floor in the prosecutor's office parking lot.
The ID card I found was left there by Officer Marshall. So essentially, you managed to succeed despite your lack of foresight.
What do you mean, partner?
I mean the fingerprint-activated lock, of course. No matter how well you disguise yourself, you can't change your fingerprints. Under normal circumstances, you wouldn't have been able to open that locker by yourself. But he could because a rubber glove just happened to get stuck in the door. That means Detective Goodman must have opened the locker before Officer Marshall.
Are you kidding me? Dude, that's some complete nonsense.
You pulled a knife on Officer Meekins and tried to drive him off?
Let's just say I was a little surprised. I only planned on being in the evidence room for no more than 5 minutes. I didn't think anyone would actually come in during that short time. Officer Meekins certainly is a one-in-a-million type of person, mistaking a detective for an intruder and demanding to be shown his ID.
I'll have to think a little more about his raise this year. When did Edgeworth get so much influence?
Anyway, he threw himself at me and I ended up cutting him slightly. I'm sorry it had to turn out that way, with me knocking him out and everything.
By the way, what happened to your knife?
Oh, you mean this one?
I don't know what to say.
So you knocked Officer Meekins out and managed to escape. I knew which areas wouldn't be caught on the camera.
So you did your research beforehand?
Those who go into the desert unprepared don't live long, partner. I didn't think it would make a difference, though. The security tape is erased every 6 hours. If all had gone as planned, no footage would have been left.
However, you bloodied your coat in your struggle with Officer Meekins.
If someone was in the security room when I came out, the jig would have been up. I opened my locker and stashed it in there.
What was Officer Meekins doing during that time?
What else? He was sleeping like a baby. So what you're saying is, on that day, there wasn't any murder in the evidence room at 5:15.
But the blood found at the scene certainly indicates a crime took place.
What are you, blind? The victim shown on that tape is me, and I'm not dead yet, partner.
So you stole the evidence from the locker?
Actually, no, I didn't.
Why not?
When I opened the locker, the evidence was already gone. What? Mr. Edgeworth, where is that evidence?
It's still missing, Your Honor. Detective Goodman's locker was already empty. Someone else stole the evidence. Officer Marshall, may I ask you one thing?
Fire away, partner. It's a free country. Just remember, I'm also free to decide whether or not to answer.
Why did you do this? Stealing a detective's ID, injuring a police officer? This is no small offense. Moreover, you're an officer yourself. This will have serious consequences. It can't just be forgiven with a simple cut in salary. Not that salary cuts are ever a valid solution.
Like I said, this isn't your case. This one is mine, and I'll do anything it takes to get an answer I'm satisfied with. The witness has an unusual amount of zeal. Let's hear more.
Can't just forget the SL9 incident, you know why? But that case was solved 2 years ago, wasn't it?
That's the reason the evidence was stored in the evidence room.
Joe Dark was convicted for his crimes. One thing I can say for sure is he deserved his sentence. I remember the Joe Dark case. It involved serial murders, didn't it? Oh, no, that's not you. I don't intend to complain about how it turned out, but there's something that still bothers me. Something went down at that trial. Something no one will talk about. What happened? I don't know. That's what I'm trying to find out.
Why is he so concerned with that incident? Maybe I should present him with what I think his real reason is. I had a feeling we'd wind up here sooner or later. Everyone involved here is related in some way to that case. I'd better take another look at the files. Alright, that's gonna do it for this episode. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, you can like, share, and subscribe and whatnot, and I'll see you guys next time.